Welcome back, or welcome if this is your first time finding us. You are listening to Context for Chaos, where we dive into the spirituality within our worldly human experience. Hi, Jessica.
Hi. Welcome back. I saw a think piece that I wanted to talk about today.
Dope.
The think piece is what I call Instagram Reels now.
I fucking love it.
I was just thinking about thought management in relationships. That's what I want to talk about today. Managing your mind in order to build a buffer between your reactions and building that buffer to develop an intuition before engaging. First engaging with myself and then engaging with others. And
I love it. I love it, and I'm ready to listen to it. And I think we're going to have a great conversation.
Cool. It's this really like physics-based content creator. She is elucidating on the neurological function where when you ask yourself a question, you're not asking yourself a question, you are giving your brain a command to go find that information.
Mm-hmm.
So when you ask your brain questions, it already comes up with the answer before you're even done. You're just asking your brain answers. Like, give me the answer to this. Give me the answer to this. You're not asking it to go find new information. You're asking your brain to reference its own database and pull from its own experiences and its own data the answer to your question. So when you ask yourself a question, you're not finding new information. You're just pulling from your own reference. So when it comes to these like behavior-based things or emotion-based things, when you ask your mind a question like, why does this always happen to me? Comes up with 7 examples of this happening to you before. Why am I so bad at this? 7 examples of you being bad at this. Not through the understanding of doing it correctly. Not, what is this here to teach me?
Yeah.
What does this require of me? And what does this require of me? I actually found a few days later, after seeing this think piece, through Back from the Borderline. I was listening to the Mary Magdalene episode. I still haven't finished it, but she was kind of talking sort of about the same framework, but maybe different language. And it was what does this require of me? What do I need to like do this? Not like, why does this always happen? Why am I so bad at this? Why, like,
Reinforcing conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, you're just reinforcing narratives because your brain data gives you information from your own experience. So you're just validating your own narrative. But if you say, what is this here to teach me? What am I missing here?
Yeah.
That was part of the think piece. What am I missing here? What is this here to teach me? And then I pulled from Back from the Borderline, what does this require of me? Because that is how I'm like hijacking my brain. Because I'm just like, even walking from the library to here, I was like sad. I had my little moment of sadness. And I was like, like I'm so addicted to the sadness. I'm so addicted to these dopamine and like, So I'm trying to hijack my brain instead of just seeking that dopamine fix of like dissatisfaction, frustration, or like just, looking at the flaws and things and being like, this all needs to be fixed. It's like, okay, well, what does this require of me? What is this here to teach me? What am I missing here? And your brain has to look into the negative space almost.
Yeah, it's like what it does is it grows something, right? But it grows something from a seed. So the sadness isn't necessarily, it's like let's call it like the flowers of the growth. The seed is the ultimate issue.
Yeah.
That it's growing
I'm
from.
like rummaging through my brain for seeds of sadness. I'm like, I want to feel frustrated. I want to feel sad. I want to feel unstable, insecure. Like,
well, I would actually call that the plant. The plant is the sadness.
Yes, but I'm looking for the seed to.
Yes. That's the hard part to find. That's the hard part.
I'm standing in a meadow of like these flowers that I'm familiar with. And I'm like, I need to find seeds to like keep proliferate.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The flowers of my understanding. And so by asking these questions, you look into the negative space of like, what's not here? What do I want more of?
Right. And you want to
those
uproot
seeds?
Something. So I'll give you like something to chew on. Let's see if you're sad and you know what you could be doing in order to alter a situation. That is already exceptional self-reflection, because most people don't even take responsibility for their future or their sense of emotion, right? So already you are harvesting. Let's call it harvesting. You're harvesting. You're like, okay, let me get the wheat. I'll get the wheat. But the problem is it's going to grow back, right? So the seed is the way to completely eradicate what's going on. So I would say what I'm hearing, and this could be wrong, but it might be a place to start. But in both cases, so this might be a garden with a lot of these seeds that are similar, is an expectation of competency in yourself. So I should be competent about what's going on at my job, and I'm sad and angry that I'm not. So I don't know that I don't know that it's me trying to protect my sense of competency, that I'm not telling this person this is what I need. But if I accept that right now I'm not competent, and that's okay, and that's not a statement on my potential of competency, then it becomes less nerve-wracking or shameful or undermining for me to say I need things. And if you look at it like, you know what, who isn't? And I told myself I want to work on that, so that makes sense. And being or feeling incompetent about relationships means that I am starting from a new foundation. So that makes sense. And so it takes away the shame part of how you feel when you have to say something that you don't know how it's going to land, or you don't know if it's a real feeling, or you don't know how he's going to take it, or you know what I mean? So it might be something about competency. And when you get down there, that's where a whole new Jessica little seed ego can start to form. And that's also where you've got to be more like vigilant about what's forming. Like when you take it out, it's like, well, now it's going back in, because something's got to go back in.
Right.
But what would it be? So that's just something, like, what do you feel with that? Like, if I say it's I don't want you to see me as an incompetent person.
Like, I have to show my nervous system new data. So, you can keep harvesting, but you have to, even if you tell yourself what is going on, your nervous system has to see new data. Like, you have to do it scared.
Yeah.
Do it
yes.
incompetent. Like,
dude, yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm at. It's like throwing myself at the things that I said I would never do, or the things that are scary to do, like in order to plant those seeds. I think because it is an action, right? Planting.
Yeah.
But you speak definitely to my own experience of the incompetency. That's something that I always assume, especially in relationships, malice over incompetence. Like, I'm first to assume malice. It's always, they know what they're doing. They know why they're doing it. They're doing this intentionally. Like, if it's hurting me, it's because
you're doing it purposefully.
Yeah.
Like, you know what you're doing.
So I always assume malice over incompetence. And something that my dad always said to me was never assume competence. And it's something that he's always said to me in response to things that are happening to me. Like, why do you assume everyone else knows what they're doing?
Yeah. It's also maybe mixed in with this assuming that they are incompetent, and that angers you. Not only did you mean to do that, but you don't know why you did it. So you did it on purpose, but there's nothing in the back. There's nothing going on in your freaking head that you could actually trace back to me why you did that. So you meant to do it, and you're stupid because you wouldn't know why you did it. You just came up and like bashed me on the head. And I was like, why did you do that? And you went, well, I don't know. So that's a very fearful, anxious kind of thing. Like, I don't trust me and I don't trust you. And but I do trust you. I do trust you. It's like a flip-flop. Like, when I don't trust me, I trust you. When I don't trust you, I trust me. It's like there's this constant, no one is aligned. I'm not aligned with you and you're not aligned with me. So when you come after me, one of us is being incompetent. One of us is being competent. Maybe there's a mixture of both, but nobody is ever trustworthy. There's nothing trustworthy. And I don't actually think that that's a unfair statement about a lot of people. You know what I mean? It isn't an unfair statement. It's just not one that you can work with every day. You know what I mean? It's not one that's going to win you friends. It's not going to make your relationships better. It's not going to make your romantic relationships better. So it's a very black and white statement. There's no room for nuance. Because is incompetency the same as immaturity? The same as inexperience?
No.
Right? Like, they're different things. But if you were to look at incompetency as black and white, you could lump them all into incompetency. If there's nuance, you can let them be what they are individually.
I've been cultivating the trust in what I see when I see that people are conscious. Give grace. People are doing their best. And when I see that they're willing to look at it, look at themselves, look at the moves that they make, the things that they've done, the effect they have on others, and to form an opinion on themselves and attempt to move in accordance with that opinion, whether it's
integrity, maybe. Yeah,
I like the way I did that, or I want to do that differently next time. That is the competence that I've decided I want to look for and trust. Even just to look at it and to form an opinion on yourself, like neither good nor bad, but just to see yourself.
Yeah.
And the nuances of everything. That's like a team that I'm willing to side with or like align with.
Green flag, if you will.
Yeah. Because, incompetence would imply like amateur, maybe not immature, but amateur, or like, maybe I've done this for the first time. Maybe this is my first relationship. Or maybe it's your first getting fired or your first job.
That sounds more like inexperience.
And with the experience, then
there's information now. Yeah.
And then our integrity as a person comes into play. It's like the first experience, then you.
Yeah.
And are you down?
Yeah.
To look at yourself and the experience.
What I think is interesting, because I think something that a lot of us experience all of the time from each other is a lack of behaving from information from the past and more so being governed by it. And that's when I think one of our last conversations was the difference between emotions and feelings, where feelings are the raw feeling. I'm sad, I'm happy, I'm excited, I'm uncomfortable, I'm frustrated. Emotions are the story that comes out of that feeling. I am sad because my father did this, this, and that when I was 5 years old. I am angry because my mother behaved like this when I was 10. It's always kind of assigning a story that supports the feeling, but doesn't necessarily give you the ownership of the feeling. So it's almost like softening the blow of your unconscious behavior so that the other person is forced to relate to you from the past. And we find that in people, right? We find that in people a lot because it is much, I don't want to say easier, because I don't think any of this is easy, but maybe convenient or safe. I'd call it safe. It's safer in the mind because, like you said, the mind just gives you facts. It gives you what you ask for. We almost have to sometimes train curiosity. So we have to train it to say, actually, I don't know. I'm going to go look that up, But a lot of us, it just brings us information, even if it's the same old tired information. So you'll hear the same stories over and over from people. You'll hear the same trauma stories over and over. You'll hear the same apologies for the same actions, that those apologies are from the past. They're not from the present. It is when you are looking for the right person, romantically especially, one of the biggest green flags you'll ever get is someone who simply says how they feel and or simply takes accountability for how you feel. Not, oh, I got angry because I had a traumatized childhood. It doesn't matter if you had a traumatized childhood. You got angry, and you should simply apologize for the way that was unleashed on me. I don't need to trauma bond with you in order to accept your apology. You can take accountability for the way that you expressed yourself to me, and you can trust that I will be able to hear you and will possibly want to move forward. If your anger or whatever happened, I'm using anger because that's usually what usually happens, because most people have a hard time with nuanced emotions or with many emotions. It's usually happy or angry or horny, which is more of a physiological experience. But anger is what most people are very nervous about owning. And maybe you do scare that person off. Still, you can't go back to 12 years old when stuff happened to you in order to move forward in relationships. That's where therapy is important. That's where integrity is important. Integrity is the future. It's saying, who do I want to be? That's where being able to catch your reactions to things. That's where this looking for seeds is important, because that anger has something it's trying to say. And if you keep assigning it to something you can't fix, and you keep this belief system going about your parents, you will forever sabotage your relationships. Even if you're in the same relationships for decades, that relationship will not be what it could be, because it is more important for you to protect your belief system and your hypervigilance and your pain than it is for you to relate. So one of your greatest green flags is somebody who's able to say, I'm sorry. Like, I was in a car ride with a friend of mine, and I'm actually going to say I'm sorry to her again. She totally, we were all in like a heated argument about something, and she got really loud because she wanted to interject, and I snapped. I don't mean like snapped as in went on a tirade. You know me, I bite. When it takes a lot to get me there, but when I bite, I bite. I'm an Aries moon. However, younger me, who was afraid of my anger and afraid of what that meant about me, would have maybe started crying and said, my mom would always get angry at me. My dad used to hit me. And then maybe I would have apologized, but it wouldn't be an apology from Vanessa. It would be an apology from my parents. I would be scapegoating my parents in order to make this relationship work. And guess what? I'd snap at you later again, because I actually didn't take that shame on appropriately. And I apologized to her. I texted her and I saw her later, and I was like, I want to apologize again. We were all in a heated argument, and the way you raised, like, I snapped at that. And that was not the appropriate response to you. And she was like, I just shouldn't have raised my voice. And I was like, that doesn't matter. That I'm taking accountability for what I did. And I apologize. I'm probably going to apologize again, because it's my integrity to not hold that anger in, but that wasn't necessary there. There was no reason for that. That wasn't coming from anywhere except my dominance, So that wasn't like a romantic situation, but that is an example of having enough character, of knowing yourself well enough to know that you will still have your friends, you will still have your relationship if it's healthy, you will still have your mind, your personhood, your day-to-day habits. Nothing. The world will not be destroyed by you apologizing or by you taking accountability for how you treat another person or how you react to another person. And I think that's something that we overlook in romantic relationships a lot, because we trauma bond constantly.
There's a few things that you said that are connecting for me, and it's like the shame, the accountability, the trigger, and the pattern seeking. You didn't say pattern seeking brain, but we as humans have a pattern seeking brain. And so when your trauma is informing the way that you are arriving at the present moment, the accountability that you're taking for your actions comes through that pattern seeking brain. I know. The air quotes, I know. Your brain says, oh, I know. I see this pattern. My trauma-informed cycle, like, I see the pattern. I know what's coming next, so I will respond accordingly to keep myself safe. I know what's going to happen. I know what you're about to do. I know what pain is about to come. So I will act accordingly to keep myself safe. And so when you are triggered, when someone accesses that past point of trauma, or when someone accesses that loop, and your brain says, I know what's about to happen, so I'm going to do the thing that I know has kept me safe in the past. The trigger comes from without. It comes from the other. But your response to the trigger is of your responsibility. And then the shame that you have around your reaction to your trigger is your own. And so so I would agree that, yeah, it's a green flag. And that's what I talk about when I say the conscious versus unconscious. Lover, if someone loves me, but they're unconscious, I can't trust. It's like an incompetent love, maybe. I can't trust that you will take accountability for your own pain, your own responses, your own mess. You can share it with me, but will you take accountability for it? Can you look at the shame that you have around the stories that your brain has held on to, that your body has held on to in response to your past, in response to your parents? Will you take that on and lay it bare? And maybe you'll act upon it, but can you take accountability for it and then apologize for who you are now? Because we are just engaging right here, right now. And yes, we're both being informed through our own pasts. Just yesterday, a friend was telling me about an interaction, a verbal interaction between her and the person she's seeing. And he said, "I'm sorry, you know I'm a fuck up." And she was so angry. Just in general, like just at the entire, like there were a few, like a couple of days worth of interactions with this person. And she was just angry about, because it's like she was using words like gaslighting, and because she just feels like she's being manipulated because this person is not taking accountability for their loops, their stories, their behaviors. Like someone somewhere told this person they were a fuck up. So now when they mess up, they just say, "Oh, I'm sorry. You know, that's who I am." It's like, okay, but if you want to be that person, don't apologize for it. And if you don't want to be that person, then say, "I'm sorry, I messed up. What do I want to do? What do you want to offer me to make amends? If you think you have done wrong by me, or you think you have done wrong by yourself even, if you say, hey, I showed up as a person I don't want to be, and here's what I want to do. Can you hold me accountable to that? Because maybe I want to hide from it. You know, ask me what I can do for you. How can I show up for you? Because if you just tell me that you're going to change who you are, I'm excited to meet that person, but I'm not going to accept, I'm sorry, you know, I just am that way. Well, then why are you apologizing for it, buddy?
Yeah. And not to assume that this is I'm going to assume that this is a long-term relationship, but even if it isn't,
2 months.
What I would say, well, okay, 2 months is, I mean, what I would say to her is the famous Maya Angelou saying, when somebody shows you their real self the first time, believe them the first time. So she has her own reactive belief system of, I need to keep forgiving someone even if I'm angry. And we measure our goodness, because all of this comes down to whether we're a good person or a bad person. That's if you want the ultimate seed, it's the defense that I'm a good person and the fear that I'm a bad person. So we measure that by how much we find the other person to be incompetent, right? I'm more competent than you because I know you did something wrong, and you're admitting that you are incompetent, and yet I'm still in a relationship with you and I'm still trying. Then wouldn't you also be on the same level of incompetence? Because that's silly.
Because I'm a high value person.
Yeah, that's silly. I mean, if this person can't meet you at the place that you expect them to meet you, you're complicit in the behavior.
Right.
So I'm not saying that she could walk away tomorrow, and then obviously that was like she gave it the amount of time that she could give it. The boundary was breached too many times, and she decided, you know what, you aren't going to change, and that'd be a very different story. But if she continues in this relationship, then she is just doing the same thing that he is. It's just she gets to be self-righteous about it.
Yeah, so that brings me to triggers. It's like, I'm sorry I reacted that way. I was triggered. Like, and your friend apologizing for raising her voice. It's like, no, I was triggered, but that's my responsibility. Some people are going to yell. That's outside of your control. People are going to mess up.
100%.
That's outside of your control. How do
Damn
you
right.
react when you're triggered?
Damn right.
Are you
Exactly.
really a high value person? Because just because you tolerate other people being human doesn't make you a high value person.
That's exactly right. That actually more so makes you a martyr.
Yeah.
And then also self-righteous because you get to talk about the fact that you're a martyr.
I'm sorry. I just don't take any accountability for what I did because I was triggered because someone did this or someone said that or this happened. And
Exactly. Or look at how they're behaving. Look at what they're doing. I'm so angry at them. And yet I'm still going to go and sleep with them and be with them. And, you know, we're going to make it better. And then they do it again. And then, you know, you basically become another person's mother and father. That's what's happening is there's a loop. There's a karmic, what do they say? The apple doesn't fall far from the tree, you know? And that scares us, especially if we saw really negative relationships with our parents. If we saw them as individuals in negative lights, then you're hoping the wind pushes you a little further, you know, or you're hoping that somebody picks you up and walks you away from the freaking tree. But at the end of the day, you're working with what you've got. And then outside of that, looping back to what we were talking about earlier, your brain is going to produce what it knows. So you have to feed it something new, or you have to take out seeds that shouldn't be there. You have to de-weed your brain. Your brain is not your consciousness. Your brain is your anatomy. It happens to formulate thoughts, but those thoughts are not you. That's actually, I'm not going to go on a side quest with this, but this is the number one thing that people say that why they can't meditate is because they can't stop thinking. That's like somebody saying, you know, I can't swim because I need to breathe. Like, well, duh. Like, of course. Like, no one's
figure out how to swim while breathing.
Well, no, you don't. Of course, you've got to breathe. Thinking is not the problem. That is not the problem. It's that you think your thoughts are you.
Yeah.
That's the problem. You swimming, you have to breathe. That is correct. There's no way around that. But it's like you saying to yourself, well, all I am is breath. Well, you can hold it. That's what a lot of people do. People go deep sea diving to hold it for 45 minutes. I mean, that's a crazy, not 45 minutes. That's a wild. There are like there's like a couple of people. There's a couple of people who are like dedicated to like this crazy deep sea diving. It's a long time that they can hold their breath. Definitely not 45 minutes. I was being so exaggerating. But like, you know, it's a long period of time that they can hold their breath. You don't have to be that. No one's telling you to be a monk on the top of a mountain with no feelings.
Right.
What we're saying is that for you to consistently identify yourself with all that you know, which is limited, then you are forever stuck as the fuck up, as the angry person, but guess what? Not just you blame it on everybody else. So then that relationship that you're going through has now 5 people in it.
Right.
Right? Like it's like ghosts in a room that we can't combat. It's poltergeists everywhere. So nobody comes into a relationship without a past.
You, me, and everyone I've been told that I am. Or everyone I believe that I am.
Yeah, exactly. Like everybody comes into, right. And that's why I will always go back. There are some, I don't know all of them, but there are some fundamental archetypal or integrity-based words that I think everybody's got to cultivate. And one of them is humility. You do not know everything, and you are not the end-all, be-all of every situation. Like, your mind is not coming up with the absolute answer for every situation. And when you're wrong, you're wrong. When you got to apologize, apologize.
Right, and that's the kiss of death is, I know.
Yep.
As soon as you think, I know, your brain stops. It is great, perfect. We've got this, boys. Let's go home.
Yes. And then but the counteractive to that is knowledge is power.
True. But it's all commands. Like your thoughts are not, you are not your thoughts.
Yes.
Your brain is a tool with which you have to, it's like a command board, a command center. Your brain is a command center.
Yes.
That you are standing at. And what are you plugging in? Because if you're plugging in, I know, I've seen this one before. Let's just plug in the proper responses and then you just start the loops before you've even assessed the data in front of you. and addressed what it really means.
Yeah.
What is this here to teach you? What are you missing here? What does this require of you? You're standing at the board, and if you just say, yeah, I know, whether it's, all right, start the fireworks, or it's get the gun, raise the voice, or like bail, that's all past informed. Like, you're plugging into your brain. You're telling your brain, all right, cool, I know what's going on. So it's going to stop looking for new experience, new information, new data, which it can then feed the nervous system. And so you're just going to have the same experience. Just like this person saying, oh, I'm sorry. I'm a fuck up. And then she
potentially,
whatever response that she gives him
is hers.
It's not going to change his loop.
Not one bit. Not one bit.
Because he is saying in his head, he's saying, I know. And so he's stopping. The loop he can run the loop. It's almost like a passive protocol kind of thing.
And maybe he is gaslighting her. Maybe he is by saying,
But that would be assuming like competence.
Yeah, but and at the same time, though, and then this is where it all goes back to boundaries.
Okay. That feels like a good place to bookmark for the week. Thank you for joining us, and come back next Saturday to see how much deeper we can dig.
Thank you for joining us, and until next time, as above, so below, blessed be.